Now, to implement searching, we'll use the same approach as before. So when the user types something here and presses enter, this component notifies the app component. The app component will then take the search text, store it in our query object, and pass it down to the game grid, exactly like before. So here in our search input component, first we should wrap everything inside a form element. So we bring up the command palette, search for wrap, and type form. Good. Now we don't need the action attribute. Instead, we're going to handle the submit event. Now here we pass a function that takes an event. And in this function, first we call event.prevent default to prevent the form from being posted to the server. Now we need to get access to the value in this input field. Now here we can use the ref hook or maintain state here using the state hook. Because we have a simple form with a single input field, it's easier to use the ref hook. So let's use the ref hook. We're going to reference an HTML input element. We initialize this with null, just like always, and get a ref object. Next, we need to associate this ref object with our input component. So we set ref to ref. And then when submitting the form, we check if ref.current is truthy. For now, let's just log ref.current.value on the console. So back to the browser. Now we have a layout issue because the form element we added doesn't have a width of 100%. So here we have two options. We can apply an inline style here. So we set style to an object, and here we set the width to 100%. Look, this solves the issue, but generally speaking, inline styles are ugly. We should avoid them as much as possible. They should be our last resort. So a better approach here is to add a rule in our global style sheet. So let's go to index.css. It doesn't really hurt to give all forms a width of 100%. Now we get the same result as before. Lovely. So let's search for grand and press enter. Now look at the console. We get our search text. Beautiful. Now we should pass this to our app component. So back to our search input. Here we need to add a prop called onSearch, which is going to be a function that takes search text as a string and returns void. Next, we add that here on search. And finally, instead of logging ref.current value on the console, we pass it to onSearch. Now we should go to our app component. First, we should add our search text to our query object. So search text of type string. Now here we have a problem. Look, our search input is not a direct child of the app component. Here we have the navbar, and inside the navbar we have the search input component. So if you want to set onSearch here, we have to pass the same prop from the app component to the navbar and then pass it down to the search input. This is not ideal. What if we had a complex hierarchy that was deeply nested? We don't want to pass a function down so many levels. That's just really ugly. But for now, let's go ahead and do this. In the next part of the course, where we talk about the advanced topics, I will show you how to solve this problem in a more elegant way. So here we need to add the same prop to the navbar component. To save time, we go to our search input component and grab this interface, copy, paste it here. Next, we add this prop to our component on search. So the app component will pass that function to the navbar, and the navbar will simply pass it down to our search input. Okay, now we have an error in our app component because we haven't set onSearch. So we set this to a function that takes the search text, and here we call set game query to a new object. First, we spread our game query, and then we add our new search text. Before going further, let's make sure that our plumbing is working. So back in the browser, let's search for grand, enter. Now let's bring up DevTools and go to the Components tab. Let's make sure that the state is updated properly. So here's our app component. Look, in the state, we have search text set to grand. Beautiful. So this is passed to our game grid. Now we should pass it to our backend. So let's go to our games hook. Again, everything is in this object. This is the beauty of query objects. Instead of passing so many variables around, we have a single object that includes everything we need. Now here we need to add a new parameter called search, and we set this to game query.search text. Let's test our application. So now the page is refreshed, and here we see all the games that have grand in their title. If we search for something else, like theft, now we get different result. Beautiful. We can also sort the result by name. At the same time, we can filter by genre, as well as platform. So everything is coming together nicely. So let's wrap up this step and make another commit. Our message is implement searching.